Hello, everyone. I'm Brendan Hawker with the Open Minds Market Intelligence team, and I would like to welcome all of you to today's Circle Elite Executive Roundtable, Embracing Technology for IDD Independent Living, the Community Living North Bay Case Study. Today's session features Angel Vibert, Director of Community Residential Services, Community Living North Bay. Ms. Vibert has been part of the Community Living North Bay family for over 20 years. She has many different roles since she started her career with Community Living North Bay. However, her current portfolio is Director of Community Residential Services. Responsibilities include overseeing the operations of Supported Independent Living Program, Enhanced Supported Independent Living, Community Case Coordination, and Housing Initiatives. Ms. Vibert graduated from the Social Service Worker Program with Canadore College in 2002. I will be moderating today's roundtable. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping reminders. Your audio will be muted during today's briefing. However, we encourage you to submit any and all questions you may have using the question box located on the right of your screen. We will present audience questions at the end. Finally, the slides and recording from today's briefing will be available on the Open Minds website by tomorrow. Without further ado, let's dive in. Angel, would you mind going to the next slide? So I wanted to start briefly with just a little bit of the history of consumers living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we start with the 1950s. People with complex needs typically died very young or they were institutionalized. We saw a lot of just subjugation from the community. They were kind of kept aside in asylums. Many of them were lobotomized. They were more dealt with instead of being treated. We moved forward in the 1970s and 90s, and people with complex needs began to move into the community with the development of intermediate care facilities that allowed them to seek the care that they needed in the outpatient setting versus being hospitalized. In the 90s, we had technology which began to improve and offer these consumers more independence and allow people to move more into the community and become actual contributing members to their communities. And then finally today, people with complex needs want to and can live in the community in their own house. They really strive for independence and want to be able to achieve that. You can go on to the next slide. And so today's complexities, we have medical needs. Medical care is advanced so that several people who would have died early on in the 1950s now have a normal lifespan today or near normal. Psychiatric needs and psychiatrists now understand the impact of trauma and negative experiences on individuals. And they're beginning to recognize that people with IDD can also co-present with anxiety, depression, mental illness, several other things that not only impact their diagnosis, but impact their treatment as well. And then finally, behavioral needs. People with IDD oftentimes experience many negative outcomes that they then communicate with behavioral challenges. And so in many instances now, psychiatrists understanding that if we treat the core problem, the behavior then goes away. Next slide, please. And so now our complexities, again, these consumers are wanting to achieve greater independence. And so oftentimes we find that healthcare needs to address the social determinants of health in addition to just treating the individual. So this involves providing them with food, housing, ensuring that they have economic stability, helping them find jobs and training, make sure that they have access to healthcare and quality of life, and then also give them access to social programs and community programs, allow them to, again, be a contributing member, form these interpersonal relationships that every human being needs to thrive. We provide them with neighborhood access to quality education beyond high school, again, so they can kind of achieve greater independence on their own. These individuals, as we know, have a higher risk of incarceration, a higher risk of discrimination and violent experiences, and they have greater supportive needs in the hospital. So they may experience substance use disorder, and then finally, public transportation for these individuals is especially in high demand because oftentimes they can't drive themselves, which prevents them from accessing care, community programs, things like that. Next slide, please. Finally, care coordination for these individuals. It requires a different type of care manager for a lot of other consumers. We need access to multiple physicians of different specialties at the same time in order to coordinate their care and provide them with the health care that they need. It requires someone who understands person-centered lives, and it focuses more on outcomes and data. Finally, knowledge about medical care, behavioral psychiatric information is important to connect these individuals to the community resources. Again, just so that they can live more independent lives, live better lives, and have better healthcare outcomes overall. Next slide, please. And then finally, again, these consumers represent a very large and untapped market. About 17% of children ages 30 to 17 in the United States have a developmental disability. 5.7% have limited ability to move or play. 4.7% need help with personal care. 4.6% need special equipment, and 2.4% receive home health care. So even within this group, which is a very large group again, we have varying degrees of individuals, and those needs are very specific to each subgroup. And so recognizing that is very important for healthcare providers in order to meet their needs and, again, help them achieve independence. And with that, Angel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here and share my experiences. By no means am I an expert on technology. However, I am someone who has introduced technology at the organization that I work with the help of Awake Labs. And so I have had some wonderful experiences using the technology with people that we support here with Community Living North Bay. And so today my goal is to share my experiences with everyone who's signed on and decided to attend and give me some of their time today. So some of the things that we're going to talk about together are how we got started, what it looked like when we were getting started, what are some of the successes we've had, and also what are some of the not so successful experiences we've had. I would like to share a little bit about my personal experience and journey. And I would like to also share what it's like to work with a support staff team when introducing technology into supports. It's a little different than things that we have traditionally done in supports with people that we support with intellectual disabilities. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Usually I like to really have very interactive conversations. And as you'll see over the next little while, it's a topic that I definitely like to speak to. So please share any of your thoughts or questions in the chat. So we started Community Living North Bay. I started overseeing certain parts of my portfolio that really guided me down a different path, in a sense that I was really open to trying something new, something a little different, something that isn't highly used, to see if we could figure out supports for people that we support in a different model. And so it was a very open canvas, I guess we could say, in terms of what I was hoping to achieve. It was more of a great idea that I was willing to pilot with Awake Labs to see if we could have some successes and to really determine what those successes are and if it was something that we could continue to pilot between the two organizations. And so in 2017, I reached out to Awake Labs, and I had Awake Labs come to Community Living North Bay, where Awake Labs met with the senior team here, and Paul and I gave a presentation about what Awake Labs is, what the technology is, and how we thought together that we might be able to help support people in a more person-centered way and get to know more about the people that we support. And so that's really how we born this pilot together. So in 2019, we had a young lady that was going to be moving into our services. And so I decided that, given the fact that we were searching for solutions, and this was a person that we didn't know a lot of, this would be a nice opportunity for us to perhaps try the technology and see if we could learn about the person, help develop some person-centered supports around the person, and really see what we could do with the technology if the person was willing to participate. So in order for us to do that, we had to do a few things to get structured. So what we had to start to do is think of our considerations. So when entering into a pilot, I think it's important to have goals, and I also think it's important that those goals are realistic and achievable. Now, with me not knowing anything about the technology except for what I had researched and what I had learned from Awake Labs, my goals were pretty easy, and there wasn't a whole lot of expectation. Essentially, it was whatever we could learn, we were interested in learning. So it was important as we developed it, especially with the first person who was going to try it, that we really kept an eye on what we were learning and setting and maybe moving goals and milestones. But we also needed to make sure that we were getting buy-in from the stakeholders. So stakeholders to me mean a lot of different things. In this scenario, I would like to use the staffing team, the management team, and the organizational structure as our stakeholders. And we also needed to make sure that we were being appropriate in regards to privacy and consents regarding the technology. And we wanted to make sure that the goals were in alignment. So what I mean by that is that we wanted to make sure that as an organization and a support team, we were all in alignment with what we were hoping that we could achieve with the technology. But that alignment of values is also important for the person that we're supporting and their friends, family, social network. So we had to make sure that on this journey that we were doing lots of check-ins to make sure that we were all aligned. So setting the goals was simple. We didn't have a lot of goals at the time. Getting the buy-in, it was what I spent my time on in the beginning, to have a lot of conversations and to educate people on the technology and what the possibility of it was. I really believe that if we're going to ask somebody to participate in something, that they need to have all the information to make a really good informed decision. And then after those conversations happened, we really wanted to look at what our processes and our policies say in terms of privacy and consent. And so we did embark on that work, and Awake Labs was extraordinarily helpful through this process with us, and really highlighted how they store information, what's accessible, and viewer rights and whatnot on their end. And then on our end, we had some privacy and consent policies already in place. So as we were traveling this journey together, I was actually able to, as an organization, create just a few small documents or agreements, we could say, to cover all of the privacy and consent. So if you're an organization and you're looking at getting started or considering trying some technology to enhance supports, then I do recommend looking at what your organization has in place already and seeing where you can develop the gaps instead of creating whole policies regarding it. It would save you a lot of time, and it's something that flows very nicely so that it's clear and easy to understand for the people we support and or their families who are helping them make decisions. And so while we were taking care of that, we were having conversations with the person that we support and their family, as well as the staffing team, to talk about what our values are and what our goals are that we're hoping to achieve. So transitioning into care, I'd like to share a story with you, and this is Allie's story. And this is a story of a young lady who was transitioning from her family home into a group living home with us. And we were getting to know her. And when this transition was happening, we were actually having conversations with Awake Labs about the technology. And so I thought, since we were already on a journey of learning with Allie and her family and the support team at the home that she was moving into and all of her new friends and roommates, that this would be a really nice opportunity for us to reach out and see if there was any interest in participating in the technology pilot with us. And so we talked with the person, Allie, and asked for permission. And we also spoke with her family. And both Allie and her family thought that, you know, this was very interesting to them and they were interested in doing a pilot. The way we approached it was very simple. It was no pressure. There was absolutely no pressure as to how often the watch would be worn, in what circumstances the watch would be worn, or the length of time in which the watch would be worn. So Allie was in a position to take full lead with the pilot and the technology products. So if Allie decided that she wanted to wear the watch all day, then that's what we did. And if Allie decided that she didn't want to wear the watch at all today, then that's what we did. And if Allie decided that she just wanted to wear it for a few hours today, then that's what we did. There was no pressure. So once we had the conversations with Allie and her family, we next wanted to focus on our staffing team, because we know that the staffing team is the core in this development and also the core of the success. And so we know we need to have good communication with the team, who is going to really be the oversight with the watch and with the person that we support. And so we started to have conversations. And since I was leading this new technology pilot with our organization, I embarked on those conversations with the staff. And so I reached out to the manager of the group living home, and I explained what the technology was and what we were hoping to do and why we were hoping to do it. And we had a really great conversation around that content. And the manager of the home was very open to trying this pilot with myself, and Allie and her family, and also was supportive of me engaging her support team. And this is a part of the story that I will go back to later on in the presentation, because this is where I had my most significant learnings. And this is what really helped me change some of my processes when we were piloting the technology with other people. So we started meeting with the staff, and I started just slowly, and we slowly started to welcome in more members of the team and structuring it a little bit different so that we were getting good communication and collecting good data together. But to get it initially started, it was a quick, simple meeting with the manager of the home and the primary support staff. And the reason that we really wanted to have that first initial conversation with the primary support staff is because we all know that the primary support staff is the expert. They know the house, they know everyone who lives there, they know the person, they know the routines, and they know the staff. And so it made sense to me to have that conversation and to see if there was interest at that level in terms of supports and staffing. And so lucky for us, the support staff was really excited about this. And so the buy-in of the staffing really took off from there, because we had a champion in the team who really wanted to invest in this for the person that she was supporting, for the person she just really got to meet and get to know, to really learn and to really be a strong mentor of the team. And so that was the conversation that really propelled us through all of our next steps. So after we had the discussion with the manager and with the primary support staff, we then talked to the whole support team. And so we came in as a very strong, aligned source of information, because we had taken the time at all levels of this conversation to have the conversation and keep the person focused supports at the forefront. But also we were able to share our excitement. We were able to share collaboration, and we were able to really mentor and be available to the staffing team. So when we had that first team meeting, we had ourselves collected as a group, and we all felt very passionate about it. We were in alignment with what we were hoping to learn, how it would look. We had the person that we supported who was interested, and we also had family interested. So we had a lot of wins already. And so now it was time to start the technology. So Awake Labs came to North Bay, and at the time, it was 2019, I believe, when we got started. We started with 4 watches, and so Awake Labs came and taught us the technology, which is quite simple to use. And I'll say that generously, because although I'm giving a presentation today on technology, I am a little intimidated by technology. So if I can say that it's easy to use, trust me, this is something that's easy to use. So Awake Labs came and gave us the information and the learnings that we needed, and went over and met with the team as well, and also taught them. So that was great. So now we have lots of people that are eager to get started and knowledgeable, and a lot of support in place. And so the watch went on the wrist, and the rest is history, so to speak. What did that look like? So learning happened fast. And we realized quite quickly that we really needed to do regular check-ins. As you can imagine, now we have this wonderful device with this technology that can start to tell us when somebody has strong emotion. So what does it look like? It looks like the person wearing a smartwatch. We use the Samsung smartwatches, and the reason that I really love the actual technology is because it's something that people wear every day. It's actually quite trendy. You see smartwatches on a lot of people's wrists now. So this was something that people could wear in their home, out with their friends, and out in the community, and blend in. This is something that looks like what everybody else is doing. It doesn't make anybody stand out. The other piece that I really liked about the technology is the staff carries an iPod. So an iPod is quite small. It's smaller than a cell phone, and fits nicely in a jean pocket or a coat pocket. So both aspects of the technology or devices were discreet, and it didn't make anything stand out. It didn't look like we were trying to detect emotions or anything like that. So this was something that people could wear all the time, anywhere they went, without standing out or being distracting by sounds or buzzers or anything like that. So the watch was on the wrist, the iPod was in the staff's pocket, and what the technology does is it actually detects strong emotions. I often refer to it as an anxiety watch. However, it detects strong emotion. And so what we aimed to do as a staffing support team was, when the iPod got an alert that the person wearing the watch was having a strong emotion, the staff would just stop and observe everything. They would observe the environment, the person, and take notes right on the iPod. Like, there's no extra work. They just can write, not noticing anything new, or just told person that we're going out for coffee soon, or whatever it is that they've observed or they know is applicable to that emotion being detected. And so we started to learn things immediately, which was super exciting, but we also needed the time to take that learning and communicate that to the team and to the other departments that were involved in this person's life in terms of support. So clinical services, family, friends, and the support team. So quickly we decided that we had to have regular check-ins. And so we committed a small amount of time, not a great amount of time, but a small amount of time to each other on a bi-weekly basis so that we could check in and give each other updates. And the primary did a lot of that work. Thankfully, she took that on in terms of if there was significant updates that happened between our meetings, she could send us a quick email. So we're not asking her to spend a lot of time. We're asking for just a little bit of time in between our regular check-ins. And so Awake Labs also agreed to meet with the primary staff every 2 weeks. So now we have our learnings happening and we have good regular check-ins so that we can share what it is that we're learning and move our goals along with the learning, because when we set our goals at the very beginning, as I said, it was a pretty blank canvas. We didn't really know the person well, and we didn't really know the technology well, and that's why we were piloting it. So as we were meeting these incredible milestones and goals that we really didn't even know yet, we're now going, this is really cool. We need to move this along so that we continue to grow and learn from it. So what did it look like and how did we apply our learnings? So we learned that over time, the staff would kind of stop every time that they got a notification on the iPod, and they would use their 5 senses, and they would kind of go through the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So you're monitoring everything. Like, is there a certain scent that you might smell? Is there a certain person present? Is there a certain thing going on today? And kind of doing some of that discovery work when you hear a notification go off. The thing I like about that is that sometimes, and we all know, we've all been support professionals or in a support capacity at one point or another in our lives. And we know that sometimes our days get really busy. And so although we're present and we're doing a really great job, we're not always being that observant of our surroundings, our environment, the things we see, the things we smell, the things we hear, because we're busy getting things done throughout the day to make sure that the people we support are having a great day and have all the things they need to be successful. And so what I really like about this iPod is it doesn't matter how busy we are during the day, the iPod tells you when to stop and pay attention because you're going to get the notification. So that really helped because it cued us when we need to take a minute just to observe and take note of what's going around us. So now we're starting to see really good learnings, and we're starting to log data into the iPod that we can compare with a dashboard. So there's a dashboard that's associated with each device, and you can pull it up, and it's a great graph, and you can see full days in color scale, and you can see trends this way by seeing if the person always has a higher state of emotion during lunchtime, or if they were anxious for something to happen, or maybe we're seeing anxiety before their bath routine, or maybe we're seeing anxiety in the mornings because they're waiting for their favorite staff to start their shift. But we're able to access a dashboard that logs the information that's detected from the watch, and also we can compare it to the notes that we have taken when the staff is doing the brief inputting on the iPod. So now we've learned a lot. And what the staff did with Allie was incredible. And she did it on her own. This wasn't a directed observation or anything, but what the staff did is she quickly started to see what we thought might look like anxiety in Allie, because we don't know Allie that well, so we're learning too. And so the staff would stop and do her observations, and then she would say to Allie, "Hey, Allie, I can see that you're rubbing your lip. Are you okay? Is there anything you need to talk about?" And so it seems really simple, but the support worker did this with Allie over a period of time. And so what it did was it helped the staff stop and be able to physically now correlate a physical activity from Ali and associate that with what we might consider possible beginning of anxiety or strong emotion. And the staff then expressed that to Ali. And so now Ali's learning, oh, when I touch my lip, perhaps I'm starting to feel anxious. And so over time, with the observation and the logging, the staff would continue to do the same thing with Ali until one day Ali said to us, while she was touching her lip, I don't feel like myself today. And there we have it. Ali has now identified her emotion on her own and has expressed that to her support staff, which she developed an incredible rapport with because the staff was using this wonderful technology to get to know her. And when I met with the staff, I was so excited every week to hear what she would tell me. I always look forward for our bi-weekly touch-ins, or to see an email here or there, or to hear something wonderful from the manager about how the learnings were going and what it looked like. We did have support from our clinical department here with Community Living North Bay, and over a period of time, the clinician was actually able to take what we've learned, review incident reports, review the dashboard, review the data that we've collected, and was actually able to show us that we had significantly decreased PRN usage for the person, because now we're able to identify what anxiety looks like, and we're able to take proactive measures instead of reactive measures to support the person to be successful in their day. So through these learnings, we've now gone from reactive to proactive. We've helped somebody learn to correlate how they're feeling, and we've made it to a point where we are reflecting on our learnings and we're changing that person's developed behavior support plan, because the strategies that were in place there now could be looked at differently and updated according to what it is that we learned. And so that's how we work together as a team when we decided to pursue our first pilot. Now, other than that, we've learned really great things, and we've learned really neat things that you just wouldn't know. For example, there's a certain TV show that Ali enjoys watching, but there is a certain character on that TV show that bothers her. And when that person appears, we get an iPod notification. So we thought that was really neat to learn. But what it did also is it put us in a position with Ali that we were able to buy back some of the support strategy time and implement it with Ali in a different capacity. And so when I say this, I say it as a very reassuring statement, because in my opinion, I don't feel as though it equals less staffing. I think it equals how do we staff a person differently now. And so with Ali, because we were in a place where we've learned so much about Ali and what it is that she needs for support. And Ali's also learned those things with us and is able to tell us those things. So now we're seeing a lot less incidents. And so the staff are now spending a lot less time creating incident reports, debriefing, because we debrief with the person we support, we debrief with the staffing teams. And we have avoided crisis moments. And so the staff started to realize that there's a lot more time to do a lot of different things. And so now what we've done with those times is we've applied them into different areas of Ali's life that she would like to explore. So with her staff, she started to participate in some life skills, in a sense that she's in the kitchen with the staff, helping staff at times prepare food or keeping the staff company while they are. She has made some wonderful social relationships with the the other folks that live in the home with her, her housemates, and she has taken to some hobbies. And so those are really exciting gains for Allie and for the staffing team that support her. So please remember that, because that is one of the things that I do like to talk to the staff about as well, is, you know, the support structure itself won't change. And although it feels like I might be asking for some time in the beginning to get things going, assuring the staffing team that I'm not asking for a lot of extra work. It might result out of a full day of 15 to 20 minutes of work between the logging on the iPod or setting up the devices. It's very minimal. But over time, the staff had gained more positive time back in a different way, because they could invest themselves in the person and the technology and not have to spend so much time on crisis management, incident reports, and debriefings. So, oh, there we go. There's the slide for that. I apologize. So one of the other things that occurred to me is I seem to be a bit of a representative now with the technology in the organization, because this is one story out of 4 that we had piloted. And so I started to really wonder about, maybe I should try this technology on myself, which sounds a little strange. However, at one of our regular network meetings, I did meet with Awake Labs, and I bounced the idea off of them. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because I really wanted to know intricately what the technology is, how it works. And I had a vision of sharing this technology eventually with our supported independent living program. And so I really felt as though if that was the journey that I was going to walk with the people that we support in the staffing team, then I really need to invest myself, and I really need to be the expert of this. And so I thought, well, let's give it a try. It's going to make me a better mentor. It's going to make me a better support person, and it's going to educate me better. And boy, did it ever. I was floored with my experience. So I talked to Awake Labs, and Awake Labs was very welcoming about the experience. And so there was myself, and there was another manager who works with me on this pilot. And we both decided that we were going to wear the technology for 8 weeks. And why we chose 8 weeks was because we really wanted to see what it is that we're asking other people to do, and what kind of commitment that feels like. And I don't feel as though you know that in 2 weeks. So we wanted to pick a long period of time so that we could ensure it. And we wanted to see what the successes are and the barriers. So I really thought that during this experience that I was going to learn things about the devices and the technology. Little did I know that I was going to learn a lot about myself. And so what was really interesting to me is it turns out that I really don't know anything about myself, and that I had stopped listening to my body and my mind a long time ago. And an example of that is I was wearing the watch, and it was at the very, very beginning. And it showed that I was high anxiety on my graph that whole day. And so what do you do when you think technology doesn't work? You turn it off, you turn it back on, you do the resets, you do the things, because surely it wasn't me. It must have been the technology, because I felt fine. There was nothing wrong with me. So I resetted the technology, and everything came back, and I was in the red zone. So I'm going, well, that's weird. I wonder, maybe I'm going to have to ask Awake Labs for some help. So me being who I am, I don't want to ask Awake Labs for help yet. I want to figure this out. However, I'm not proud enough that I didn't reach out to the manager, who is also wearing the watch. And so I called her up, and I was talking with her, and I was like, is your watch working fine today? Is everything going well? Oh yeah, I'm not having any problems. I said, oh, that's really strange, because mine's been in the red all day and I feel fine. So I don't know. I'm going to have to reach out to them. And she turned to me and she said, or maybe you're not okay, and it is actually you. And I stopped. I was floored. I was I was at a loss of words at what she said to me, because I thought, wow, you would think I would know, but it was me, and I didn't know. And I, over a period of time, had learned to function at a different level, to shut those pieces down so that I didn't feel that way and I could carry on about my daily tasks. But I wasn't being true to myself, and I wasn't listening to myself. And so that was a very, very powerful moment for me, because I, just like the people that we support, had to learn what my anxieties were, when it hit, how I managed that. And I had to stop, and I had to do the whole process with myself. And that was really, really powerful. And that was probably the biggest learning experience I can draw on to guide my teams that are willing to participate with this. And so what it did is it helped me learn about my own body, my feelings, how to manage it, how to recognize that, when I need to listen and maybe stop for a minute instead of ignoring and push through. But something else happened, and it felt incredible, and it was validation. Now, I'm not sure about everybody who's attending, but there are certain parts of my day that I don't enjoy. One of those is mornings. I'm not a morning person, and I don't like to have conversations in the morning. I like to wake up, shower, get ready to go, and have my first conversation when my workday starts. But I live in a family, so that's not how it works for me. So every day I wake up with a smile, and I do the things that we need to do to get out the door and be successful. But the watch validated it. And so every morning, my watch told my iPod, you're not happy right now. And it was very true. One of the other things that I was validated on was my not love of cooking. And every time I had to cook supper, I was in the red zone. It clearly was not something that I enjoy. Now, those are coping skills that obviously I had to learn, because I didn't get a maid or a housekeeper or a chef to help me. So I had to stop and think, okay, so you do hate this, and something has told you that. So what are we going to do to make that a more enjoyable experience for you? So I have gotten headphones, and I listen to music while I cook supper, and I might dance around the kitchen a little bit. And my 11-year-old daughter might come in and have a dance with me and then scoot out again. But it doesn't feel like the chore that it did before, because I was validated and recognizing, yes, you do feel this way. Your body actually has a reaction to this. I knew that I couldn't stop those things, but I needed to position myself in a way that I could develop coping skills and turn it around and make it a more enjoyable experience. And so those were very important things to me, because I was able to take what I learned about myself, and now I was able to use that lens to think about the people we support in the staffing team. So an example is I wear a lot of dress pants, dress shirts and stuff, and I don't have a pocket for an iPod all the time. So I either had to figure that out, or I had to carry it around in my hands all the time. But that was a really important lesson for me, because now when I help teams get started with the technology, I include like a pack that they can carry, so that they can wear the iPod instead of having to worry about having pockets or carry it, or it falling in the water while they're trying to do something. So my learnings and my discoveries helped me be able to open up something different for the people that we support, and I'm able to share that. Now, since then, we have had lots of people in our organization who have definitely reached out to me and expressed interest in the technology. And so the way that we structure it here with Community Living North Bay is now, it all starts with the person we support. So it's the conversation with the person and their family or their family. And we obtain our goals, we set our communication. I now set them up with a kit I have learned we're up to 8 watches now, and which is phenomenal, but I need to be more organized. So we have created a quick inventory sheet, and I have a label maker, which I label things. And I also start a team, not only with a carrying case now, but an extra everything, which doesn't cost much. We just go to like a dollar store sort of thing, but you know, an extra charger, an extra cable, and an extra watch band, just in case theirs is broken. And we want to remedy that quickly so that we can move on to continue the good work. Also, one of the things that we've had a lot of success with is the support from Awake Labs. Awake Labs has been a really true good collaboration with Community Living North Bay, and the support they have offered us and the way that Awake Labs has structured their business makes it so that using the technology is easy. And if a person that we support or a support staff is having a hard time, they can access Awake Labs super easy right through their iPod if they need to. And Awake Labs is incredibly responsive and helps remedy and problem solve whatever it is that they're encountering at the time. So that's also made us successful, because I don't know about you guys, but you know, if technology doesn't work for me and I can't turn it off and turn it back on and have a good solution, well, it's probably going to sit on a shelf until somebody comes along and helps me. So having that kind of quick response with Awake Labs really prevented us from having that technology sitting on a shelf. So Community Living North Bay has 8 watches now, and our growth is we aimed to move into our supported independent living program. We have somebody that we support in that program who is currently wearing a watch, and I have received the most incredible updates about how that's going, which I can share with you. We're moving into our transitions program, so that's youth who are receiving supports while participating in school. We are looking at moving into our supported employment program for some individuals that are being supported with their employment by their employment coaches. We actually have a staff person from each STIL program, transitions, and the supported independent or supported employment program currently wearing the watch, as they wanted to really experience it and be able to take what they're experiencing and put a different lens on it to the people they're supporting. Our clinical services has a watch in which they can recommend as a product that is used for people that they're supporting if they feel appropriate. And as a result of this work that we have done, Awake Labs and I have created a community of practice where we meet with professionals on a monthly basis that represent their organizations. And we have wonderful talks about collaboration and how we can use technology to enhance support with people that we support, and share with us our successes and our failures. So I am just being considering time. I believe I have a few minutes. I'll just share a quick update about our supported independent living. And so we have someone who has been wearing the watch for a few months and is really managing it on her own. Her support worker wore the technology first and the devices. So she had a strong understanding, was able to answer questions and be responsive if the person needed help. The person, again, is self-driven in the initiative or the pilot, and is deciding when she wears the watch, how she wears the watch, and what she enjoys of it. The person is still interested in wearing the watch, which is exciting. But we have had some learnings. And so the reason that we considered this person in our supported independent living program is because they were somebody that was showing an extreme amount of anxiety, and they were accessing services on a regular basis in a state of panic. And so we felt it was important to give it a shot with the person that we support and see if we could have some gains and learnings so that we could help the person not feel as anxious and have those crisis moments. And so we have learned that the person does have some definite triggers. And so that could look like being called into work unexpectedly, grocery shopping, and sharing some nervousness or anxiety over family and being concerned about their safety. So we were able to take those learnings and we were able to modify the person's support, of course, with their blessing. And so it looks a little bit different now. So now the support worker has shared with me that the person seems to be really more aware of their environment. And I think it's because they're stopping and they're using their senses and doing the observations as we've taught them to do. So the first thing that she's noticing is her environment, which is phenomenal. And she's able to make changes in her environment to reduce those feelings of anxiousness. So that was a huge success, and she has taken that on her own. And so we're really letting her champion this, and we're really being supportive of her. The person has decided that they are going to create a bit of a snoozling room in their environment at home. And so we're helping them with that, and we're rearranging what home looks like and making it accommodate that. But that was a self-coping mechanism that the person has identified that they think would be helpful. And we thank the person in the watch for that. And the person has successfully obtained employment. And that was a struggle that we were having for a while before. So we're at the very beginning of our learnings with her, and we're starting to be able to correlate what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and what we're learning. And we're able to help the person modify what the support looks like. So an example of that is instead of drawing out anxiety over grocery shopping, we're now looking at an online grocery shop instead. And so that's the person-centered supports that we're tailoring with our learnings and we're sharing with our peers. And I think I should probably leave it at that for now in case there's any questions, just to give us some time to address those.
Hi, we did not have any audience questions, but we can definitely go into them. So specifically, what would you say obstacles did you encounter, like your biggest obstacles with the introduction of this AI technology into your care plan?
I get this question asked from time to time, and I can't identify any major obstacles. We have had people that we thought would be good candidates, and they have decided that they're not. And so I don't consider that an obstacle. We just let it be. And we thought that perhaps we could readdress that at a later time if the person was interested in having another conversation about it and perhaps sharing more information so that it's an informed decision. And I think that would probably be our biggest obstacle. We do want to make sure that this remains self-driven and that the person is in full control of what this looks like. So we do commit to no pressure. So it is a little bit difficult in a sense if support teams or family friends think that this would be something wonderful for the person to pursue, but they don't. In the end, we do respect that decision. But I think that's been one of the things that we've had to consider and work around.
Okay. And then how did you get all of the vital stakeholders within your organization to buy into the necessity of this technology?
So it happened, I have a strong working relationship with our IT manager. And so we actually work collaboratively in the beginning in researching Awake Labs and the product and the devices and such. So He did it from a technology lens and I did it from a person support lens. And so together we were able to draw on each other's knowledge base, and we were able to put together a bit of a presentation for the other senior team here, in which we were able to explain the technology in a really great way. And I was able to explain what I thought we might be able to do for the people we support with it. And so it was a lot of conversations. It was a lot of open-minded conversations, sharing Awake Labs website with the senior team so that they could do some independent research, and also having Awake Labs come and support us and meeting with the senior team. They did take a lot of time out of their schedules to come and do that with us. And I think because those conversations went so well and the two organizations worked so well together, and shockingly, we had such amazing results right from the beginning. The buy-in was there. It was up to me to continue the momentum and to keep the excitement going. So what I tried to do is to make sure that I was giving regular updates to our teams about it and really sharing our successes.
Okay, one audience question did come through. Patricia asked, what other technology have you introduced in addition to the watch?
Another product that we're using right now is called Grand Care, and essentially it's a really great technology. We use it a lot, especially in our supported independent living program, and I find our most popular groups are with seniors who are aging, because there seems to be a bit of a gap of service there, and with the youth coming into adult services, because we all know youth would rather send you a text message than call you on the phone. They kind of would like to ask you a question, but they don't want you here all the time. So trying to figure out just the right amount of support instead of over supporting. And so we've used Grand Care for that. It's essentially a very large, beautiful tablet, and it gives the person who wants to use the technology the ability to reach a staff at the push of a button. And so our staffs all have portable devices now. So they either carry a work cell phone or an iPad, and that application is added onto their devices. So at a touch of a button, a person that we support can reach out to their staff and have a full conversation. We've had a lot of gains in it with medical crises, and especially life skills and accessing our youth entering adult services. I could probably give a whole nother presentation on that. So if the user or the audience member who's asked that question would like my email address, we can continue that conversation at a later time, because it's really great technology there as well.
Okay, and we can definitely provide that to her. Finally, what advice do you have for an organization looking to adopt similar technology?
I don't know if Awake Labs, like I would say if Awake Labs is open to it, which they have been, every time that they actually see if a staff wants to use it first. Because when you learn something that powerful about yourself, you're able to take your learnings and you're able to apply it into the work that you do every day. And you have a different lens on what that looks like and what you're hoping to help the person achieve. I also think that, you know, really investing in your team and finding your champions. Every team has the champions that really want to try new things and are so person focused and is that natural mentor or leader within their peer group. And those are the people that you want to really work with and be the cheerleaders of rolling out something new, because you know they're going to pick up that ball when you pass it to them and run with it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Angel, for joining us for today's web forum. Also, I wanted to thank everyone in the audience for joining us as well. I'd like to remind everyone one more time, the slides and recording will both be available by tomorrow on the Open Minds website. Also, the full Circle Elite Executive Roundtable series is also available on demand as part of the extensive Open Minds library and can also be found on the brand new Open Minds YouTube channel as well. Furthermore, please join us for our next roundtable, which is a virtual seminar on Thursday, October 27th, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And the topic will be Healthy Beginnings at Home, SDO, Social Determinants of Health for Women and Infants, the CareSource case study. This seminar will be focusing on the results from the CareSource Healthy Beginnings at Home pilot program and how the program is hoping to strengthen the evidence regarding the impact of stable housing in addressing infant mortality, prematurity, and improving health outcomes for women and their infants. This session will feature Kyle Lowe and Diane Alekuzan, State Housing Strategy Leads for Indiana and Ohio, respectively. For a full list of upcoming roundtables or to register for the October 27th roundtable, please visit the Executive Web Roundtables page under the Events tab at www.openminds.com. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Angel.
Thank you.